All right, so you ready for this? Today we're doing a deep dive that's a real head-scratcher. A story about, well, get this, Elon Musk and a group of bikers in a Texas diner.
Yeah, a real clash of cultures.
Clash of cultures with a MAGA hat thrown in
Yeah.
for good measure.
Yeah.
But you got to stick with us on this one because this story isn't just about appearances.
No.
It's really about how we connect in a world that seems like it's increasingly divided.
Yeah, it's interesting. What starts as this simple encounter kind of turns into this almost like a parable about assumptions and finding common ground.
hmm
And the setting for all this is this classic Texas diner outside of Amarillo.
Oh, yeah, I can picture it.
You know.
Faded neon signs, sizzling bacon, the kind of place where time just seems to stand still.
Exactly.
So it
Yeah.
definitely feels like a world away from the high-tech world that we usually associate with Elon Musk.
Right.
So how does he even end up in this down-home diner?
Well, he's just passing through, dressed casually in jeans and a Tesla t-shirt. Pretty standard Elon, you know. But here's the curveball. He's also wearing a mangy hat. Now,
Ooh.
the article makes it clear this wasn't like a deliberate statement,
Okay.
more like a random gift he just happened to be wearing.
Okay, yeah. I can definitely see how that might raise a few eyebrows, especially given Elon's, well, let's just say, complex public image.
Exactly. And then to make things even more interesting, a group of 6 bikers walks in, led by this guy nicknamed Bull.
Oh, boy.
These guys are the real deal, leather jackets, heavy boots, the kind of presence that just commands attention, you know?
Yeah.
You get the feeling they're not easily intimidated.
So we've got Elon Musk in a Maggie hat. We've got a group of bikers that look like they just rode in from a Steppenwolf album cover. This can't be good.
You can practically feel the tension rising in the diner. Bull spots Elon, or more specifically, the hat.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole atmosphere changes instantly. The waitress freezes, other patrons start whispering. It's like, you know, that moment in an old Western where the piano music stops and everyone holds their breath.
So what happens? Does Bull challenge Elon to a duel at high noon?
Well, not quite, but it gets pretty close. Bull, being Bull, marches right up to Elon and confronts him.
Uh-huh.
Demands to know why he's wearing that hat. And here's where the story takes its first unexpected turn.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me more.
Okay, so instead of defending his, choice of headwear, Elon kind of flips the script. He calmly but firmly asks Bull, why does it bother you so much? It's a brilliant move because he's not engaging in a debate. He's challenging Bull to examine his own assumptions.
Wow, so right off the bat, this whole encounter is forcing people to kind of look beyond surface appearances and dig a little deeper, huh?
Right, and Elon goes on to explain that the hat was a gift from this retired engineer he had met, someone who, embodied the values of hard work and innovation. He's wearing it not as a political statement, but as a reminder of those shared values.
Right.
And that's where things get really interesting,
No,
because
you're right.
by revealing this personal connection, Elon humanizes himself. He's not just the billionaire tech CEO anymore. He's a guy who was given a hat and chose to wear it. It's a simple act, but it completely changes the dynamic of the whole conversation.
It's like he's saying, hey, we might have different perspectives on things, but we're not so different after all.
Exactly. And that's the seed of connection that this entire story hinges on. Instead of a shouting match, we see the beginning of a genuine conversation. So what starts as this potential confrontation morphs into something much more profound.
Okay, so they're talking, but are they actually, connecting? What are they talking about?
Well, Elon tells Bull about his work with Tesla and his vision for the future.
Uh-huh.
Now remember, this is a group of bikers who probably spend more time tinkering with vintage engines than thinking about electric cars. But here's where Elon's passion and genuine belief in what he's doing, really shines through.
Okay, this is where I need you to kind of break it down for me.
Hmm?
What is it about Elon's vision that actually manages to connect with these guys?
Well, it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the underlying principles.
Elon's talking about, pushing boundaries, challenging conventions, creating a better future. These are ideas that resonate with anyone who's ever felt driven to create something new or make a difference in the world,
I'm starting to see how a group of bikers and a tech CEO might find some common ground.
Right.
So what happens next? Do they all hop in a Tesla and cruise down Route 66?
Not exactly. But Elon does extend an invitation that might surprise you. He invites the entire biker gang to visit a Tesla facility.
Yeah.
Imagine their reaction going from a dusty diner to a high-tech factory.
Whoa.
It's like stepping into another dimension.
Yeah, talk about a culture clash.
Right. And the article describes the Tesla facility in stark contrast to the diner. It's all sleek lines, robots moving with precision, and this palpable sense of purpose.
Oh.
And this is where the story takes another fascinating turn.
All right, I'm hooked. This is where we have to leave it for now, though. But don't worry, we'll be back with part 2 of this deep dive to explore what happens when these two worlds collide. So picture this. You go from that warm, familiar atmosphere of that Texas diner right into this, like, pristine, futuristic Tesla factory.
Yeah.
Talk about sensory overload.
It's like stepping out of a time machine. But here's what I don't get. How do you go from, like skepticism and suspicion to actually being open to what Elon's saying?
Well, that's the magic of this story, right? It's not just the technology that's impressive. It's the way Elon connects it back to the human element.
Yeah.
He walks them through the facility and explains Tesla's mission.
Okay.
Not just to build cool cars, but to, like, revolutionize transportation and energy in a way that benefits everyone.
So he's appealing to something bigger than just their individual needs or desires.
Exactly. He's talking about sustainability, about a future where we're not dependent on fossil fuels. And get this, he emphasizes that this isn't some elite club. It's something that can empower people from all walks of life.
It's fascinating how he manages to bridge that gap between this, like, futuristic technology and the everyday lives of these bikers.
Right. And this is where Bull, the biker leader, asks a question that really gets to the heart of it all.
Okay.
He wants to know how Tesla's work can help someone like him, a guy who's spent his life fixing old machines, not building spaceships.
Okay, that's a really good question. I'm dying to know how Elon answers that.
Well, Elon's response is all about the importance of staying open to new possibilities. He points out that Tesla and SpaceX weren't built overnight. They were built on grit, determination, and a refusal to give up. Qualities these bikers embody in their own way. He's essentially saying, look, we may wear different clothes and ride different machines, but we share the same core values.
It's almost like he's acknowledging their expertise, their way of life, and saying there's room for that in this new world he's building.
Exactly. And you can see the bikers' attitudes shifting as they tour the facility. Their initial skepticism melts away, replaced by genuine curiosity and even a bit of awe.
I love that. It's proof that sometimes all it takes is exposure to something new, a willingness to step outside your comfort zone, to change your perspective.
Right. It highlights the power of actually experiencing something firsthand, rather than just judging it based on preconceived notions. It reminds me that saying, don't knock it till you try it.
So I'm curious, though, did the bikers leave the factory completely convinced, ready to trade in their Harleys for Teslas?
Well, maybe not that drastic of a change.
Yeah.
This story doesn't end with some, grand conversion moment.
Right.
But that's what makes it so compelling. The final scene takes us back to the diner parking lot, where Elon and the bikers are saying their goodbyes.
So what's the vibe like? Are they slapping each other on the back, exchanging numbers, planning a Tesla rally?
It's more subtle than that. There's a newfound sense of mutual respect. Even if they don't necessarily agree on everything,
Okay.
they acknowledge the importance of listening and understanding, even when you come from different worlds.
Yeah, it's a reminder that finding common ground doesn't mean erasing our differences.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our shared humanity, despite those differences. And just before parting ways, Elon says something that really sticks with me. He says, me too. It reminds us that real change often happens quietly, on an individual level. We may never know the full impact of that encounter on Bull or the other bikers, but something tells me it planted a seed that will continue to grow.
This deep dive is blowing my mind wide open.
Yeah.
We started with a seemingly simple encounter, and now we're talking about the very definition of progress.
That's the beauty of a good story, right? It can take you on an unexpected journey and leave you with more questions than answers.
Speaking of questions, I have a million more. This conversation has been incredible so far.
It has.
From a tense standoff in a dusty diner to a glimpse into the future of technology, this story has taken us on quite a ride. But we're not done yet. There's more to unpack in this fascinating tale of Elon Musk, Bull, and the bikers. Stay tuned as we continue our deep dive in part 3 of this episode.
It's amazing how this story, like on the surface, seems so simple, just a chance encounter at a diner. But as we've been talking about, it really speaks to something much larger about where we are in the world today.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this whole idea of polarization, we hear it all the time, right? This tendency to divide ourselves into camps, to see the world in black and white,
Right.
us versus them.
Exactly. And if it feels like that's only getting worse,
Yeah,
especially online.
absolutely. But what this story really highlights is that real life is so much more nuanced than that, Elon and the bikers, they represent these seemingly opposite poles
Uh-huh.
Tech innovation versus rugged individualism,
Right.
and yet they find a way to connect.
It's a good reminder that, like, most of us aren't defined by just a single label or belief.
Right.
We're complex individuals with a mix of views and experiences.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
so refreshing is that the connection they find isn't about agreeing on everything.
Right.
It's about respect, curiosity, and a willingness to, see the world through someone else's eyes.
So it's not about erasing our differences, but like finding a way to bridge them.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of progress comes in,
Yeah.
right? Elon says it himself. Progress isn't just about building faster machines or fancier gadgets. It's about connecting people.
So in a way, this random meeting in a Texas diner is its own form of progress.
I think so, because it challenges us to rethink what progress actually means. It's not just about technological advancement, it's about human connection. It's about expanding our understanding of the world and the people in it.
This whole deep dive has really made me think about my own assumptions.
Yeah.
Do I, like, put people in boxes too quickly? Do I miss opportunities to connect because I'm not open enough to different perspectives?
Those are great questions, and ones we should all be asking ourselves, right? It's so easy to get caught up in our own bubbles, surrounded by people who think and act just like us. But this story reminds us that real growth comes from stepping outside of those comfort zones.
For sure. So what's like the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this whole conversation?
Well, I think it's this. The next time you encounter someone who seems different from you, whether it's their beliefs, their background, their lifestyle, don't just dismiss them. Be curious. Ask questions. Listen with an open mind. You might be surprised by what you learn, and you might even discover a connection you never expected.
That's a really powerful message. And it's something we can all put into practice every single day in our own interactions with the world.
It's not always easy, especially in a world that often feels so divided. But this story gives me hope that connection is still possible, even across those divides.
Well said.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had like an unexpected encounter that challenged your assumptions or helped you see the world differently?
Yeah.
Share your stories with us on social media using the hashtag Deep Dive Connections.
We can't wait to hear about your own, personal deep dives into the complexities of human connection.
Yeah. This has been an incredible journey, from a tense standoff in a dusty diner to a profound reflection on the meaning of progress. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep those minds open.